So this episode, I will interview my friend Philip, and he's working in fashion. And so I think it's a really good chance for my subscribers to know the behind the scenes of working really in the fashion industry. And let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome to Fashion Brief. And this episode is the first ever episode of me interviewing someone. And this is Philip.
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
And he's now working in MyTheresa as digital merchandiser. And so Philip, would you please introduce a bit your background and introduce yourself a bit.
So my name is Philip, as I already said. I'm working at MyTheresa, and I joined the company 4 years ago. And yes, I always worked in fashion. I always wanted to work in fashion as well. So I was striving already during university to make sure I'll get a job in fashion as soon as I graduate. It was really key for me. Of course, I worked in retail and did all these kind of jobs to really make sure I can step feet into the industry early on. Yes, so in the end I ended up with MyTheresa, and I'm really also happy I'm working there. Now I'm working there almost 4 years. And yes, it's really growing rapidly. I think a lot of things changed. It was rather small when I started.
Really?
With like 300 employees, you know. So
and now it's like...
It's much bigger.
Okay.
Even I went public recently. So there's a big achievement, a big milestone for the company. And, you know, me, a small figure, working in digital merchandising. I really felt proud of it. And it's nice. And I feel like in fashion, things are changing so quickly. We have, you know, so many trends happening, and brands go up and down, you know, all the time. But MyTheresa is a wholesale place, so you have a lot of different brands. If we didn't mention yet, MyTheresa is an online luxury store.
Yes.
And we actually also have a real retail store in Munich here. And this was also how the company started first. So there was all sorts of luxury brands there.
Cool.
And then later down the line, which made sense, they also went online. And that's how I ended up in that company, because digital merchandising in the end is something purely digital. But it's quite similar to what maybe more people will know about like visual merchandising. Which would be...
Can you tell us a bit difference between digital merchandising and visual merchandising?
Yes, sure. Visual merchandising would, for example, be decorating the windows in the shop, trying to really display everything accordingly to how the brand wants to position themselves in terms of what are the key items this season. Most of the time it's very seasonal, and the core items they carry every season would be somewhere in the back because they know they are selling. But it's really more to focus on seasonal styles. And it's always a story. Storytelling is key here. You really want to make sure the customer understands the products, the customer feels inspired, so you have a full look. And also whenever you go to, for example, let's talk about high street. If you go to Zara or H&M, you know, the first impression you get is what drives the customer in or out. So, for example, when you go to Zara, it's super interesting that if people watch runway shows, you know, they actually kind of see those shows being replicated in Zara. And of course, not everybody has the budget to shop you know, luxury all the time. So I think that's where it's really nice to see that this job can actually play a huge role in trying to show people, oh, there is actually ways to look a certain way, or, you know, when you want to be high fashion, and maybe it will just be a slightly different print or different colorway, but it will still give you the feeling of what you are craving to look like. So that's this visual merchandising.
Okay.
And then digital merchandising is also displaying the products in a certain way. Also really deciding what categories we're pushing on the website, where the campaigns will be shown and things like this, but digitally. So when you go on the website, you the first thing you see is home. So there you will have all the latest campaigns or the categories we want to push. For example, let's say printed dresses. You know, it's a really random, very generic example. But yes, it's always about trying to show the customer what they want at the moment. So you have to be like 1 week ahead because we're changing this like weekly. So you really have to see and check what is the customer craving for now. And most of the time, you kind of can sense it. You check with the numbers, you know it, and it's less creative in that sense because you really, you know,
need to analyze.
Yeah, exactly. You need the data,
Yeah.
exactly, because we want to make smart decisions for everything, and only with data which is backing up our decisions, we can then get creative and try to gain you know, the interest of all the customers. But first, we have to really understand what they want. So yes, it's the same logic as the visual merchandising. It's just digital. So what kind of products do you see first?
Yeah, that's true. So basically, you will receive the pictures from creation team, and then you decide what pictures to put online, basically, or how does it work?
It's a really gray area. So, I mean, you know, I think like there are so many teams working in our company. And yes, we have the creative team, we have brand marketing, which is working really closely with the brands. And, you know, there's like really negotiations with how they want to be portrayed. And it's really something they have to sign off as well. And then from our side, it's what kind of topics we want to push. So actually, we tell them what to shoot. And then, of course, in the end, it's a management decision. Is this really how we want to show ourselves? We know that we might have a lot of like loungewear or something like this now with Corona, but is this something we want to push and want to be seen as, you know, as a luxury brand? This is always something we have to keep in mind. Even though we're wholesale, we're selling a lot of brands, we still have an image. And this image might not be what would be logically needed to be pushed, you know. So it's always kind of trying to stay true to your own brand, but then of course experimenting and you know, trying to be creative and trying new things every now and then. But yes, it's really something where we need collaboration with a lot of different teams, but sometimes brands also give us images, so it's really a mixture. But as I said, it's a brand thing, so we can give recommendations, and in the end, we see if it was shot or not.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what does the structure of your team look like? Is it like differentiated by men, women, kids, or how does this team structure look like?
Yeah, actually, it's exactly how you said.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you work with us already?
No.
So, yes, it's women's wear, menswear, and kids wear. Menswear actually launched quite recently, so the team is still very new. But yeah, so we have those 3 teams, so we all work very closely together. We have certain tasks which we are doing together, of course, because the work in the end is the same. It's just for different categories and departments, and then we split it actually with ready-to-wear, shoes, bags, accessories, jewelry. So yeah, in the end, we have 3 departments. So it's women's wear, kids wear, and menswear. So menswear is just recently launched, so we now have it for almost
I think that's
more than a year. Yeah, so last year. So it's still very exciting, and the team is very new. And then within women's wear, that's where I work, we have the categories split. So we have ready to wear, which is then split in designer and contemporary, because it's just easier with working with the buyers, because they are of course also split. Otherwise, it would be way too many projects to take care of. Exactly. So this makes it a little bit easier for our daily business. And then, of course, we have shoes, bags, accessories, and fine jewelry. And yes, for kids and menswear, it's just all together because it's still rather small. But I think like the long term, it would be quite similar to the structure we have currently running for women's wear as well.
Nice. And so, how does your day look like in MyTheresa?
My day, if I could tell you like this, then...
Or like every day is different? Or
exactly,
like,
definitely. That's what I really like about this job. I really appreciate it. Every day brings new surprises. There's always new things happening.
It's challenging.
I mean, every job should be challenging, otherwise you can't grow.
Yeah, that's true.
So, guys and girls, guys in a way of like everyone, right? No, but I mean, please note that you know, when a job gets tough, this is the time for you to really learn and take notes. And this is, you know, not every road to success, you know, is on the red carpet. You know, you have to go through like some more difficult periods to really learn from it. You know, and that's why I feel like it's learning by doing. You know, so yeah, every day is different. As I mentioned before, of course, we have the visual merchandising part. So we are, you know, trying to push certain items on top on certain category pages or designer pages to really showcase what we want to show the customer first. So we kind of have to make sure the curation from the buying team is then reflected in our website. So when we have certain collaborations we bought into, certain campaigns we are showing on our website, it has of course to show first. When you're clicking on the designer, it shouldn't be on the last page just because it's like the latest addition to the website. You know, everything which is new has to be on top. So of course, this is automated for some parts, but what makes it so special in the luxury industry is that we are able to also have a little bit of craftsmanship here and there, you know, doing it ourselves, tweaking it a bit. So yeah, this is one part, which is interesting because I feel like it's a bit misleading to call my job description digital merchandiser, because this part is not like taking so much time of my daily, you know, task.
That's true, right?
It's like maybe a few hours, you know, at most for a whole week. But then all the other things are much more important. As I said, also the data analysis and coordination with other teams, really making sure everything is delivered on time for certain campaigns to go live. Also checking what, you know, the analytics are saying from other websites, you know, really checking and really learning, you know, what we can improve for next time in terms of programs. And, you know, there's such a huge progress in the world of e-commerce. There's so many things to discover.
Due to COVID,
Yes, exactly. And I mean, there's just so many things which are changing for the better. Which we could adapt, but we of course have to make sure we're testing it, we're checking if it's actually able to be implemented within our platform, if it makes sense, you know. So this is what makes it so diverse, you know, because this is something you're working on, this is projects, this is something which takes a long time. But then on the other hand, you also have some creative parts, you know, which is like creating newsletters. There again, it's this kind of visual merchandising part where you want to show certain items which we want to push, which makes sense in this newsletter, which look good.
So you are the team who create the new newsletters, or like the CRM or other teams who did the job?
So we have different teams working on a newsletter. And we are kind of the first
to decide what to put.
Exactly. So we are the team which is thinking about certain topics, and then it's just trying to make it work with items we have, with shootings we did, and normally, it's what I mentioned before, we would tell the creative team, okay, we would like to shoot this and this because we want to later have this image ready for a certain newsletter. So that's why we always have to give suggestions and have to see if it makes sense with how the company wants to be seen as. But most of the time, of course, it's already has been discussed within meetings, so it's nothing we just take out from nowhere. It's something we took out from data or saw that this is like a current trend, and which is always nice to be able to react quickly. That's really important because
in e-commerce is really quick.
Exactly. Trends are really dying quickly. So when something is really on the uprise, we have to catch it and then showcase it immediately. So actually waiting a few days can already harm. In that case, we will not be able to show what we want to show in a certain time. So we should always kind of, if we see something growing popularity, push it immediately. So what we did, for example, recently would be it's like walk in the snow or things like that. Like really pushes where we know that people, now that Corona got a little bit more, less intense. Let's say in Germany, in some other countries, it might still be very, very, challenging time. Lord, we really all suffered, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, but in the end, for an e-commerce company, it was great time because people couldn't go to the shops. So people really went on MyTheresa.
The performance is
exactly. So it really helped. Yes. But to go back to the topic about newsletter selection and what we are pushing, we really try to kind of see what the customer wants, and we saw people can go outside again. They can do sports. So walk in the snow was a perfect mixture of what we want to sell because we bought these into this, like loungewear and things like this. But we also want to show the customer we are having some really cool
products.
Yeah, exactly. Some really cool outdoor brands like Montclair, Canada Goose, for people to wear outside, because this is what people want now, but if we mix it with something what we also want to sell, it makes it more attractive for the customer. So these kind of topics we would then brief in, and then we would play them, and also category pushes and things like that. Or maybe we would try to use different angles to push dresses. Maybe there was a really cool runway show happening, or we saw a certain dress being very, very well performing. So it's always a mixture, and we really try to be reactive quickly. That's key. And
but I'm curious about for example, you already know that some of the products that will sell good and some won't. Can you share a little bit how you or your team balance out these two aspects?
Yeah, so if I try to recap the question, it's just saying that how do you push less commercial styles when you know that you have to buy into it because you're a luxury wholesaler? So we try to incorporate it definitely, because the thing is, we're privileged to show that we are having these brands. It's actually a nice thing. So sometimes you buy into certain categories, certain collections of a brand, knowing it might not be the most commercial, but it's maybe very interesting. Because what we want is a customer who really is understanding luxury, somebody who has no time. She's a businesswoman, at least for the department I work in. It's a businesswoman. She's really, she has no time. She is a family person. She, works full time too, but it's somebody who's really who loves fashion, you know, but she has no time. So we have to show her, we have this collaboration, we have this exclusive style. It might not be so commercial, but you as a customer with so high caliber and so high...
would be interested.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Somebody who really has a coin to spend would be interested in these kind of special collaborations. So it might not be so commercial, but it might be very interesting for the customer. This makes us stand out. If we would only have the core items and only items which are selling well, people could just go to the brand directly, you know? Because what we do is we have exclusive styles. Styles that the brand even doesn't carry. So after years and years of actually being able to sell different brands on our website, we are able to dictate that we want to have a collaboration. We having a better relationship with the brand over time, because the longer you know, work with certain brands or even people, you know, you get to know them, you understand their core values, they understand who we are, you know, we have
create a curation for them.
Yes, exactly. So when the time goes by and you start having actually exclusive styles on your website and other brands notice this, more and more brands are opening up to us, you know. So this is a really nice thing about working in fashion, that you are able to also play around. It's not so serious. This is the part which is actually the fun part, where you can actually showcase things which might be a little bit controversial sometimes, but it's still interesting. So I feel like this is what makes us stand out for sure.
Nice. So lastly, I would like to ask, what kind of skills or what kind of personalities do people need to have in order to work in the fashion industry?
I think this is actually a really good question, because I think this is such a mysterious kind of topic to talk about when it comes to what kind of people get hired for fashion jobs. So I'm now talking really about jobs which are in the office. I'm not talking about retail, because it's a completely different skills that you need, exactly. But in the office, it's really, first of all, of course, what did you study? That's always key. You know, you kind of, it's very important to know that this person has had some kind of, you know, knowledge which is
related to the field.
Yes, exactly. So it's useful. That's something I wanted to say, because I mean, you can study economics, you know, and it's something which can be used everywhere. So it's a useful one for analytics and things like that. So when people are looking for, you know, getting their first steps into the industry, it's really important to also choose the major wisely.
So it doesn't actually matter whether you really study fashion management or luxury management.
Yes, the thing is that it might be a good opening door, because I mean, whoever can afford this, because I mean, it's a really expensive program, and not everybody can afford this. And also, it doesn't guarantee that you you know, get the knowledge you need in that company. But it would, like, the company would presume that it might be very useful.
Yeah, you have the background knowledge.
Yeah, exactly, because you kind of maybe even a customer already with us, because it makes sense when you are able to afford these kind of prestigious universities. You already had been shopping with MyTheresa.
Yeah, that's true. Oh my god.
So it makes sense. But also from experience, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is the only way to get in. So what I would recommend people to do, especially when you, as I said, do not maybe have the funds to study the fashion university, which is renowned. I mean, there's also like different fashion universities all over the world, but I'm talking now about the really expensive ones. So you can just work in retail, you can do internships, you can always, you know, send,
applications.
Thank you. Yeah. So you can send applications, everywhere. Really trying to, make your first steps. It will be baby steps in the beginning. It will be working in a warehouse, unboxing the new collection, which goes into the store. This is just the beginning. But it also opens your eyes what actually it means to work in fashion. You can see all different logistics standpoints within the industry, where the items are coming from, how they are portraying in the store, what happens after the season, because some people maybe never thought about it, that you have the items on the store, and what happens when the season is over, when sale is over, when all of a sudden there's only new items in the store. Some people maybe they never cared about this, but if you work in the shop, you actually then understand. So I think it's really good to kind of have this as a background, like a backbone as well, to really get more knowledge and get more experience in the fashion field. So yeah, definitely internships. I would really highly recommend to do some, which would be then in the department you want to work at. So I did one in marketing merchandising in Adidas when I was a student, and this really helped me to have understanding what I'm doing now, because it's quite similar, but it was more from the brand perspective. So this means more allocation focused. So where do the items get to be sold? So it was a different kind of view, but exactly. But it makes you understand it better now.
What the brand is doing.
Exactly. Okay. So I think that people really should just try and really open their eyes. But as a person, I would say you just have to be really interested in fashion. You have to really understand that there are certain trends which are coming and going, and there might be a certain style you really like, something maybe more minimalistic, and maybe you're a customer who only likes the row and, like those brands who are very minimalistic. And you cannot understand Dolce & Gabbana, which is all over flower prints, but you have to respect it, and you have to, even though there are some controversies about this brand, and we're not discussing this today, but I mean, in general, I want to say that there's just so much diversity in fashion. So you really have to be open-minded to really try to understand all types of brands, because this also makes you understand more what kind of customers there could be. It's not just you. If you want to work in fashion, you have to understand what else is out there, and then kind of try to use the knowledge and see, okay, maybe with this trend I can actually cater to a bit more people. That's why I said if you were just minimalistic, maybe people would then only like minimalistic things. All the newsletter would be minimalistic. So
that's true.
You're not cause in the end, This is a brand identity, this is how they want to be showcased, but MyTheresa is very diverse. We have all types of brands there, and we have those minimalistic brands, but we also have
extravagant,
exactly,
brands,
so that's the thing. You have to understand and be open-minded, and then just hardworking, be like a sponge. Also, as Victoria Beckham once said, make mistakes.
That's so important.
At other companies, not your own. So I guess you're doing less mistakes here on your fashion brief, right? Because it's your own brand.
I can always make mistakes.
Of course, because you learn from them. So without any further ado, I highly recommend you to check out all his other videos. There's a lot of knowledge about fashion, as you guys know already. And it was a pleasure talking with you. Thank you for inviting me today.
Yes, thank you for being here as my first interviewee.
Such an honor.
Thank you. And so last but not least, don't forget to subscribe Fashion Brief. And I have an Instagram account now. I will post a lot of content about fashion business strategies and also luxury marketing. So don't forget to subscribe. And see you next time. Yeah, like
and
everything. Follow. Yeah.
On Instagram.
See you next time.